they just do not respond to anything. So I
I'd like to call to order the Milan Area Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance as you're able?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you to everyone attending this evening, as well as those who are watching the recording. All board members are present except for Ms. Heike. She is excused, and then our student board members are excused as well. I do want to make note that the code of ethics that we went through at our last meeting has been posterized in front of us. Mr. Gearbaugh informed us that they're going to frame it and put it on the wall underneath the clock. So whenever we need a reminder of our code of conduct, it's there for us to refer to. First up in the order of business for communications and community engagement is public comments. A reminder that this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to routine matters for approval. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 14th, 2025.
Motion by Pryor.
Support by Gutierrez.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 14th, 2025. Are there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 14th, 2025. Ms. Murray.
Burdette,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up, we'll move on to our strategic plan business in the area of finance and operations. I need a motion to approve the 2024-2025 general fund budget amendment as included in attachment A.
Moved by Farrow.
Support by Burdette.
So moved and supported to approve the 2024-2025 general fund budget amendment as included in attachment A. Just a reminder, we had a first reading of this budget amendment at our last meeting. There was a time to ask questions. Ms. Hendricks provided background, and then we had time to ask questions of Ms. Hendricks and Mr. Gearbaugh until this meeting. And now it's here for our approval. Are there questions or comments or concerns regarding the budget amendment? Yeah, Mr. Farrow.
No questions. I just want the board to be aware that I did have some questions of Ms. Hendricks, specifically around surrounding miscellaneous expenses, tuition, preschool, supply budget, and then I had some questions about building athletic expenses. They were all answered. I didn't have any additional questions. With respect to future budgets, the board may want to consider discussing potentially including investments related to securing a full-time building facilities manager, a possible security director, and funds for marketing and communications. It's not something we have to do right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrow. Others? Ms. Gutierrez.
I also had the question similar to Mr. Farrow's about the tuition for the preschool, the tuition-based preschool expenses, and I'm grateful for the clarification from both Mr. Gearbaugh and Mrs. Hendricks, and I have no concerns.
Any others? All right, thank you. It's been moved and supported to approve the 2024-2025 general fund budget amendment as included in attachment A. Ms. Murray.
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up in the area, the strategic plan business for personnel and leadership. It's the superintendent selection process update. I asked Mr. Gearbaugh to place this on the agenda as we are going through the selection process, just to give everyone an update on where we stand. So the personnel committee held a big red board chat last Wednesday, January 22nd. There were community members and staff members that attended. We thank those that attended and provided feedback. It was a good dialogue back and forth. We went pretty much our allotted time, so it was a very good discussion and back and forth. We went through the survey. If there was any questions, a lot of folks had already answered their survey, but it was good to get that feedback. We are still in the process. I think the last time I said that we were going to be meeting with the MEA. There were some conflicts that came up, so we are trying to reschedule a meeting with the Milan Education Association union representation. Like to do that within the next couple weeks. So we're in the process of rescheduling that meeting to gain their feedback. And then a reminder in regards to the survey. So the survey is still out there to be taken. When you go to the website, there's the pop-up there that reminds you if you haven't taken it. It's going to be available until next Friday. So please go out and fill that survey if you have not. Again, we're looking for feedback from 7th through 12th graders, parents, grandparents, community members, staff, administrators, all our stakeholders. We're looking for the feedback on that survey. There is going to be the Michigan Association of School Boards. They have a weekly or every other week soundboard presentation where they kind of interview some folks. And one of the ones that they've had recently is superintendent vacancies. So that's one that I'm going to be interested in tuning into and listening to, getting some feedback from that. And I think Mr. Farrell mentioned that he's going to be attending the Winter Institute that's coming up. I'm also going to be attending the board president's workshop as part of that. So we'll be able to gain some feedback in regards to superintendent selection process at those meetings as well, from MASB, as well as our colleagues that attend those from across the state. So I don't know if Mr. Farrell, Ms. Gutierrez want to add any more from the personnel committee in regards to the selection process. Mr. Farrell?
No, just that it's been a very deliberate, very transparent process in terms of engaging the community and various stakeholders on their input and what they would like to see in our next superintendent. I was a bit disappointed in the lack of attendance at the recent big board chat, because that is an opportunity for the community to give us their input on the things that they want in the next superintendent. That said, I think that we have been very open, very transparent, very visible with wanting to meet with our various stakeholders and wanting to secure input so that we can make an informed decision as well as a very important decision. So if the community has input, the opportunity was at that big red board chat. It now exists as part of the survey. You can also reach out to any board member, or you can contact Mr. Gearbaugh at the main office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Ms. Gutierrez?
Mr. Sisel, thank
Yes.
you. I too share Mr. Farrow's sentiments. It was a little bit unfortunate that I think we had 5 community members and stakeholders attend the big red board chat. Those that were there offered very helpful, substantive feedback. There were some differences of opinion in the room, which I think speaks to why it's so important for us to hear from our community members. It's not just one person's opinion or our opinion. It's really trying to gauge the overall sentiment of our community and what is valued and what is really of high interest to our stakeholders. And so I really do encourage our community um, to take a look at the survey. It doesn't take that long to complete. It's all multiple choice questions. There's no fill-in text boxes. So that sometimes when I do open surveys and there's text boxes, I get a little bit intimidated. So know that it is all quite straightforward. So please do complete the survey. Please reach out to us individually. Our email addresses are all on the Board of Education website through the district's website. Particularly Mr. Sislo, Mr. Farrow, and I, who sit on the Personnel Committee, really truly do want to hear what our community members think and value about both the process and what we're looking for in our next superintendent. And as Mr. Sislo said, we've been trying very hard to have conversations with all of our constituents, and we look forward to that conversation coming up with the MEA when we can get that scheduled. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. I'll just offer one correction. There were 6 people there.
6 people.
So just I also want to let the public know that MLive, which is the Ann Arbor News. I'm dating myself now, but MLive's the kind of the newspaper for Washtenaw County. They reached out to the board in regards to the selection. So we provided them much of the same language that was put out in the emails and invited folks to participate in the survey that are in the Milan community. So if you do see an article from MLive, they did reach out to us in regards to that. So, all right, thank you. Are there any questions about the selection process?
Just a quick comment. I think from here, my understanding is the Personnel Committee will, along with the rest of the board, will review the survey results, and then at some point the Personnel Committee will interact, and at some point come to the full board with a recommendation on how to proceed.
Yep, that's correct. Yep. All right. That brings us back to public comment. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right, seeing none. Our student board reps are excused. That brings us to assistant superintendent comments. Mr. McMahon.
Mr. Sislo, I do have a few comments. I do want to share with you that we had 3 staff members identified as the 2024 Super Care Heroes by Care Solace. That is Christina Barber at the high school, Kyle McIntosh at the middle school, and Rachel Staley at Paddock, counselors and social workers. And they're being recognized for the number of students that they were able to connect with services through Care Solace in 2024. So we're really happy for them, and I'll probably work with Mr. Gearbaugh to get some sort of public announcement out via social media or website. I would like to take a second to thank the staff, principals, instructional coaches for all the work they put into their PD day on January 17th. Highlights of that day were an intensive literacy training for young 5th through 5th grade. We had to combine buildings because some of the grade levels cross for the 2 programs under 35J, which is the Literacy Essentials and Alexia Aspire training. Also, we had the elementaries did a success evaluation protocol, and I got good feedback from that from the building. The high school did a PSYOP training. Jen Saylor led that at the high school for a couple hours, which is an intensive intervention or instructional protocol for close observation related to EL work, but it's good for all students. And the middle school also did a deep dive on the DESA assessment that we gave in the fall. We'll give again in the spring. It's a mental health screener that we're implementing this year. So they were the first building to really take a deep dive in the data. So they made some progress there. So thanks for all that work. The next PD day is scheduled for February 28th. And finally, I'd like to share that I was fortunate to be able to attend the MASA Midwinter Conference I guess it would have been on the 17th. I was gone for the PD day because I was in Grand Rapids for the conference. It was a really great opportunity to connect with other leaders of districts, local and across the state, get some great ideas. I find the most value in conferences with those conversations, but also obtain some resources and some things to look at for the future of our district. And it was a good experience. So thank you for the opportunity.
So can you remind everybody what MASA stands for so that everybody's aware?
It's the Superintendent's Association. Mr. Gear had a conflict, so I went and I took his registration. So it was first time for me attending a conference like that. So it was a eye-opening experience and very rewarding. So
Awesome. All right. That brings us to superintendent comments. Mr. Gearbaugh.
Thank you. Just a few things this evening. First, we want to share some celebrations of our students. Mary Kate Wayne was named the Monroe County Regional Girls Swimmer of the Year. We congratulate Mary Kate. That's a high honor. Our boys basketball team held a fundraiser toy drive in honor of Mason Farmer. Some of you may know that Sarah Farmer is a teacher here in the district. She and her family, the head coach, and numerous boys from the team took the toys and donated them to U of M Mott's Hospital. There were a lot of toys collected. It was really a good showing for Milan area schools. And again, this is just one of those acts of kindness that our students do that we don't always hear about, right? It's very easy to hear things that teenagers or students are doing that maybe aren't so positive, and we don't sometimes celebrate enough the things that our students do that are positive. And this is definitely one of those. Some other great news. The Milan Big Reds boys bowling team is one of the state's best teams mid-season. In the latest Michigan High School Interscholastic Bowling Coaches Association rankings, as of January 22nd, at least, Milan was ranked 4th in the state. So we congratulate our boys on the season that they're having, and we wish them well as they continue in the season and hope that they continue to do as well. Staff, we kind of swept the girls swimming awards. Dan Heike, our swim coach, was named the Monroe County Region Coach of the Year. So we had both the swimmer of the year and the coach of the year here in Milan area schools, something to be very proud of. Last thing I want to say falls under the category of legislative. I just want to let everyone know that there are a lot of actions being taken in Lansing and Washington that will have both short-term and long-term effects on public education funding and public education in general. I highly recommend that anyone who has an interest in public education now or in the future keep a close eye on the bills, memos, and executive orders being issued and considered both in Lansing and Washington. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh. Takes us to board member comments. Who has comments this evening? Yeah, Mr. Burdette.
I just would like to say that I was able to complete my first training course through the Michigan Association of School Boards. I wanted to say the acronym, but I figured I would say it, which is the CBA 101 course. Not only did I gain a lot of knowledge, but I was able to meet and network with many new school board members across Washtenaw County, and as well as some of the outlying counties. So I'm very appreciative for that opportunity. Also, last week I was able to attend the wrestling meet at the high school, and it was a pleasure to watch all of our wrestlers compete, as well as it was senior night, so it was extra special to see the 3 seniors wrestling in their last home match here at Milan. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And we do appreciate you taking that training. It's definitely starting off with CBA 101 is a great background. And like you said last time, you've already taken the superintendent evaluation training as well. So you are well on your way. Thank you.
And I just want one last, I am also registered for the CBA 102 class as a part of the Winter Institute. So
Awesome. Thank you. Others? Yeah, Miss Pryor.
I just wanted to say that I had the opportunity to attend the legislative breakfast on Monday. Mr. Gearbaugh was also in attendance. It is the opportunity for local school districts to meet with our local and state legislatures, so our representatives for our state and for the federal. If it's not them, it's one of their representatives. But Mr. Gearbaugh is correct in saying that there are several things occurring that could have significant impact on the way that our school is funded, the programs we are allowed to teach, how we can protect our kids, and several other small changes that can make a big impact. And every single change that happens affects our teachers' ability to provide and focus on the things that they should be focusing on. And I know everybody wants our children to come out of school with the knowledge that they need and to keep as much political back and forth out of our kids' classrooms as possible. So I encourage everybody to be aware, to watch, and reach out to your local legislatures if something is happening that you don't agree with, and encourage them just to let the teachers teach our kids. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ms. Pryor. Others? Mr. Farrell?
Very brief report. I know that we still need to meet with the personnel committee still needs to meet with the MEA representatives with regard to their input on the superintendent situation here in Milan. But I also would like to encourage us to secure dates and times to meet with the union representatives as it relates to the next teacher contract. I think it's important for us to get those meetings mutually agreed upon and scheduled. So that's all for me.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Others? Ms. Gutierrez?
Thank you, Mr. Sislo. I just wanted to mention that I too am registered for the upcoming MASB Winter Institute. I think I have 3 classes, and I'm really grateful that MASB offers both in-person and remote training opportunities for the CBA classes. And so clearly many of our board members are able to exercise that. I wanted to share that Mr. Gearbaugh, Cassie, Pryor, Andrew, Sislo, and I met with the Monroe Community Foundation last week to review our financial assets and holdings that are used to fund our scholarships that we are able to offer in Milan area schools. And we were delighted to be able to take a look at those, know that we will have several scholarships we'll be able to offer, and that process will be forthcoming from our committee. But it was a very nice conversation. We have a robust portfolio, and I'm excited to be able to continue that work and supporting our students. I wanted to wish good luck to our middle school solo and ensemble performers. They're performing this weekend, and if I'm not mistaken, high school is the weekend thereafter. And then following up just on what Mr. Gearbaugh and Mrs. Pryor said about what has been happening and transpiring over the last week and even before that, there's a lot coming out of Lansing and Washington, which affects public education deeply, both in funding and far beyond that. And I want to encourage all of our stakeholders to pay attention and to call their representatives. I've been making phone calls over the last week, and I will tell you that someone answers the phone and you actually have a real conversation with someone. If that intimidates you, you can email them. And I think we have seen over the last week that some of those conversations have been heard. If you are uncomfortable or don't know what to say when you call your representative, there are really nice scripts out there on various websites depending on the type of message and communication you want to convey. And so I think it's important for all of us to be proponents of public education so that we can continue to do the great work here at Milan area schools, and that includes being an active part of that advocacy. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez, and I appreciate you chairing that Academics and Programs Committee that looks at the scholarships. I appreciate your leadership on that committee. Others? Ms. Murray.
Just very briefly, and it is going to be repetitive, but I can't agree more with what my fellow board members are encouraging the community to do in terms of becoming actively engaged. And if you aren't a person who has previously kept your finger on the pulse of legislation that affects public schools, at either the state or the federal level, now is the time to do it. And as Ms. Gutierrez stated, there are many, many resources out there. The MASB has resources on their website in terms of how to get in touch with your electeds. And one thing that I learned in my participation in the CBA courses that deal with advocacy for public education is exactly what you stated, that you do generally speak to a live person. It's usually a staffer, but they are required to pass along and to document each call, each email that is received by your elected official's office. And so those voices do get heard, and if they receive a large amount of feedback about a particular issue, that really does have an impact. So I do deeply, deeply encourage everyone to, as has already been stated, please take the time. It can be as little as 5 minutes. ChatGPT is wonderfully helpful in helping you draft an email. If you just tell it what you would like to say, it'll help you create a brief email that you could then send to your elected official on behalf of your concerns about public education. So that being said, I think many of us have gotten more and more educated over the last year about how to engage in that process. And so that would be something that I would also encourage the community to speak to one of us about, or send us an email like, hey, I'm concerned about this. Who should I talk to? Who should I call? Like, I will speak for myself, but I'm more than happy to engage with our community in that way and help you contact them, because the more of our voices are heard, the better. As always, that's how our democracy works best. So that's it for me tonight, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. And I will definitely echo the comments of everyone in that regard. I think it was one of the things that was evident at our Big Red Board chat as we discussed that. One of the things that rose to the top that we are looking for in a superintendent is somebody that has an unquestionable dedication to public education. That's our role here as the school board, is to provide that public education to our community. So the person that is selected for that needs to understand that and have that dedication to public education. So I appreciate everyone bringing attention to that. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All right, this meeting is adjourned at 7:27. Good evening.